This tutorial will take you through the online exercise that is due on February the 8th, which is a Monday. And what we'll be doing is applying a single adjustment layer onto a Photoshop document. And so this is a great way to introduce yourself to Photoshop. It's a great way to learn a little bit about adjustment layers and also about how saving in Photoshop is different from saving in Camera Raw, which is what we've been doing. You'll also have the opportunity to create imagery that goes against pretty much everything I've told you about what makes a good image. Remember, what I've been saying is that you need good range of values from blacks to whites with all sorts of grays in between. You need image detail in the shadows and image detail in the highlights. What we're going to be doing now is using the threshold adjustment layer, which basically turns the entire image into either black regions or white regions. So there are no grays at all. Therefore, there's no details in the highlights or the shadows. Now, this process is a process used by many graffiti artists who use some process to create a black and white image as a prelude for creating stencils for street art. Banksy is probably one of the most famous artists who use this method. So you're going to make 5 images using the process that I'm going to show you right now. For each of the images, you're going to follow these steps and then store them in the folder. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to go into your original folder, and that's under Documents, JBordage, and I've actually already created a folder for this, and that the format for this folder is your first initial, last name, underscore, online, underscore, exercise. Once you have that set up, then I would open Adobe Bridge. Once you're in Adobe Bridge, realize that you can use any of the images that you've taken thus far. It could be assignment 1, it could be assignment 2, it could be assignment 3, it could even be images that you take specifically for this assignment. If you're finding that things aren't working, you can go out and find something else. So some of you have raw images to work with and some of you have JPEGs. If you have a raw image, the procedure will be to go into a raw image, and you can use either raw images that are color or raw images that are black and white. You open up the image by double-clicking on it. That immediately puts you into Camera Raw. Now, you're not going to do anything in Camera Raw. Instead, you're going to open the image by hitting this button right here. And here we are in Photoshop. Now I'm going to back up for a second. I'm going to click off and hit Don't Save. And instead I'm going to hit a JPEG, and I'm going to show you. This is one of the few times where a JPEG might be an advantage, because all you have to do to open up a JPEG in Photoshop is simply to double click on it in Bridge. So here's a JPEG. I'm going to double click on it. And here we are, already opened in Photoshop. All right. Now, one of the things I wanted you to do is just to make sure that your screen looks just like my screen. I want you to reset the panels. And the way you do that is you go to Window, Workspace, and hit Reset Essentials. And that'll just put everything in the location that I have it right here, so that when I'm demonstrating, it will make sense to you. What I want you to pay careful attention to is the adjustment panel right here. If you see a series of icons to the right, that is where we're going to be concentrating to add an adjustment layer. Okay, if you see that, that's great. And what I want you to do is navigate to one specific adjustment feature, and that is called the threshold adjustment feature, which is in the bottom row, third from the end. If you click on the threshold feature, you get something that looks like this. And already you notice that something drastic has happened to your image. Your image is now turned from a color image or maybe a grayscale image to something that's purely black and purely white. Already it has a stencil appearance. Now you may want to adjust that stencil appearance to make it look better. The advice I would give you in terms of making it look better is you probably are looking for the image that probably has the most image detail. So the way you make that adjustment is there's a slider in the threshold dialog box that pops up when you clicked on the threshold icon, and you can move that slider around. I can also take this panel and move it a little bit out of the way so it's not interfering. Actually, that's probably pretty good right there. And you have something now that looks very stark. There's only white and there's only black. Now, once you get it to a point where you like it, you need to save it. So what I'm going to do is demonstrate the saving. The first thing you'll do is go to File and click on Save, and it'll open the Save dialog box. The first thing I want to do is to navigate to the appropriate folder, which is going to Documents, JBordage, Online Exercise. I'm also going to want to rename it, so I'm going to click on the Save As area, and I'm going to keep the PSD suffix, notice the PSD here, but I'm going to change everything to the left of the period and just put hydrant. Click Save. And then it says maximize for compatibility, and I hit OK. All right, and it's as simple as that. I have saved my first one. I'm going to get out of here. I've already saved it. Now, some images are not appropriate for this type of adjustment. They tend to be images where nothing stands out from the background. For example, if I click on this JPEG right here and I open it in Photoshop, there's some color variation, but the values, if I were to turn this into a grayscale, you'd notice that the values aren't very different. And I'll just show you what happens when I click on threshold. I have this threshold, and pretty much no matter where I put it, it's either too white or too black, and there's no place where I'm actually finding the image popping out from its background. It's really not making too much sense. So it's not every image is going to work for this. So what I would suggest you do is try a few and try to get ones that work better. I'm going to turn this off. Don't save, obviously, because that one didn't work. I'm going to go to a black and white image. I'm going to double click on that. I'm going to hit Open Image, and we're going to try threshold on this. Alright, it's looking pretty dark right now, but watch what happens when I move the slider. Oh, I wanted to point out that the slider works such that if I move it to the left, it gets lighter. If I move it to the right, it gets darker. Here you can make a very powerful silhouette, but I was going for something that gives us a lot more image detail and basically suggests buildings, maybe somewhere along that. So the threshold slider doesn't create realistic images, it actually takes photographs and makes them look more like drawings. I hope you have fun with this assignment. You will have 5 to complete for the assignment, and I will review them when I see you again on Monday. Thank you.